pretty cool one. This is a guitar from way back in the day for me. Now, this is not the original My Guitar. My Guitar I sold, I think in 1995 to a friend of mine that he loaned it to somebody and then it got stolen. So it's gone forever. But pretty much the exact same model. This is the Kamen by Ovation GTX33. That is it. It's missing a few parts, but I don't care because I lock all my tremolos anyways. But this is what the old back logo looks like. So it's a Kamen. And these are, I think they are Korean made, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, they're fantastic guitars, and they were fairly inexpensive. I think I paid like something like $3.99. I don't think it was $4.99 because it was back then. I don't know. Either way, these are the stock pickups, which I am very, very stoked about because I think this is a super distortion or something like that, but which I don't really care, and I don't even really like it that much. But it might be a wiring issue, and there's definitely some things going on with that switch. But these two pickups, I removed them, and I put some Seymour Duncan, not rails, but they were just like, you know, humbucking single coils. And this is also cool, just to put in there. It's TRS 101. So those are the same type of TRS tremolos. And the 101's printed on there is the Yamaha guitars. This is not a great tremolo. It's an okay tremolo. This one actually stayed together and didn't break. But anyways, back to the pickups. These pickups right here are stock, and since I switched them out with the Seymour Duncans and this, and I loved the guitar for a while, played in a band for a while, do have some cool photos. But once I upgraded to my Ibanez, I kind of looked at this as the cheap guitar, and I did never play it again. Hence why I sold it. But I sold it to get the Ibanez, so that was the reason. But anyways, long story short, I was kind of going down the rabbit hole of buying some of the guitars that I'd sold and I regretted selling. And this was definitely one of them. So I found it on Reverb, and it was the Watermelon Color Burst. And I just thought it was one of the most fantastic looking guitars when I was a kid, and I love it. I don't know what this switch is. I assume it's probably some kind of a coil split on there. It's got a 5-way already, so you don't have to do that. You could split these as you do. Maybe it's a phase switch. I don't know what I'm going to wire it for. Maybe it's just a kill switch. I can do something fun with that. I don't even think it's on the right one, so I'm not going to even do a big audio demo of this, but it is a guitar that I've had for a couple of years now that I did not restore yet. And the reason for that, the guy that actually sent it, you can see how clean the strings look. He sent it, he cleaned it up. Looks like he did kind of a quick pass with the steel wool. See some darkening, but he kept it nice and clean. I'm surprised. All these guys normally send me these guitars in absolutely disgusting fashion. This one was fairly clean. And he set it with a brand new set of elixirs, which are expensive strings. So again, kudos to that guy. I'll have to figure out if I want to put this pickup back. I never really dug it to begin with. I think it sounded a little thin, but this guitar is a very strange one. I like it for these pickups in this particular combination. They are very, very weak in the distortion side, but as a clean tone pickup, they just give you that straight up JC120 chorus that just sounds like the intro to Sailing from Christopher Cross, and it's just the prettiest clean tone ever. So I'm going to restore this, clean it up, and get to the next steps. Right, so I basically leveled the frets and checked them with my fret rocker, which is this guy right here. I highly recommend it. It is very, very good. It is the Skyscraper. And anyways, it's a very, very good tool. Way better than the other crap that you're going to find. But you can find that on Amazon. It's a very good tool, so get the good ones. So this right here is just got all of the kind of Sharpie marks on top of it. And I've got my Z file. This is the original one. It's the offset, as you can see right here. You can see how the one point is a little higher than the other. Well, it's actually a little hard to see, but anyways. Point is one side is longer than the other side, so when you're crowning it, if you're going this way, it'll only hit this much of the angle, and then when you flip the blade, it'll only hit this much of the angle, so you won't shave too much of it off. These particular tile, this one right here, for example, when I got this one, it was this grand, beautiful, you know, looks like a good looking tool. It's got all the different colors and all the different things like that. But the problem is if you don't know what you're doing, you will shave too much off of the element. So that will actually cause problems, and it did, and I never use that tool again. So as much as I say the Z file is expensive, it is absolutely worth it, and it makes things really, really fast. I'll show you how to do that. Normally I would start at the 1st fret, but I'm just going to show you right here at, say, the 12th fret, and I'm just going to show you how easy this tool is to use. So we got to be careful, and then go across it a few times. Try to keep a radius kind of thing on there. You can see it's thinning out a little bit. The whole point, you see how fast it gets that pinstripe. So that's how this works. Go across it a few more times. Turn it. And there you go. You see the difference between what it is to Sharpie that, and then this right here, the point of it is to leave a nice pinstripe right over the top. It's pretty close. All right, and that would be good enough. We can get it probably a little bit finer, but it just depends on how far you want to go crazy with it. But you can't overdo it if you are not careful. But this tool keeps you from making the mistake. But you can see how fast you can actually get this. Now, the cleaner the line, if you get a really nice pinstripe, you will get incredible intonation. So if you got a thick line, then you will have kind of like a point between points that is kind of wavering. So certain notes will be good and certain notes will not be good. So like I said, the cleaner the line you can get it. This is probably where I'm going to leave it. And that's it. All right, so the idea is this. Now, I shaved this one down, but I only crowned the edges. I didn't touch the top. So when I go and use this, when I do this, it doesn't rock. Which means, slight, feels like, nah, that's good. That's it. So that point right there, that line that it left, is the same height of this fret and this fret. And that's the whole point. It leaves that center line right there. So the string, when it touches, is just exactly the same height as all these other frets. And when you do that, you've got that. Now you're gonna have to have a hell of a lot of other things have to do this. You're gonna have to sit there and sand these things and get all the scratches out, and we'll buff it out. But you can see what this looks like right now. It looks terrible, but once it's done, it'll be a beautifully glassy fret. So we can see all the little pinstripes all the way across all of these guys. And that is enough to be able to use this and see if we've got a high fret. And if nothing rocks, then those particular lines are perfect. So we can go down here and check these three. No rocks. And they're dead on. So when this thing is polished, which we're going to use these guys, and they suck. I hate using them, but because they just, this is what happens to your finger, you know, when you're going like that all the time, you just get used to it. But it will crush your finger when you're just doing this, because you're just like, go over the entire thing. And it starts off with, I think, was it like, I don't know, it's like 180 to 400 to 1,000 to 15 to 3,000 or something like that. That's what these do. I just do a quick pass because I do the Dremel with the buffing wheel and the compound, this guy right here. So once I use the compound and I buff those things out, they come out like glass. You can look at any of my other videos, and I'll probably show you one fret, but that's how you get them like that. But this is where they are, and they're dead straight. So I'm gonna actually, while they're in this shape, I'm actually gonna clean the fretboard, clean up the scratch that I just gouged in there with the tool, but it's okay. It's my guitar. I can do what I want. If you ever get this guitar, you know I did it. As a quick look at what the frets look like, and this would be perfectly satisfactory if you didn't care what the frets look like. This would be, you know, straight and accurate and no rocking. It probably would give you some scratchy, you can hear, it's not butter smooth, but I would say, like, for example, that's a smooth surface. You can hear the difference between that and this. Okay, so if you want your strings when you're bending and vibratoing to be just like on glass, you know, so your tone is in your fingers and not from the frets, maybe there's a secret recipe in actually just leaving frets like this where they're perfectly crowned, but they're not sanded, and maybe they give an extra tone bite. Another video. All right, so after all of the crazy pressure of using these things, we've gotten it this far, which is basically everything looks okay. You know, it's got some shiny stuff to it. It's not particularly special. Maybe if we even hit it with some, I believe this is the finer of the steel wool. I don't know, but I don't want to scratch it up with using the wrong stuff. So I'm going to use whatever. I don't even need to do it because I'm going to polish it with the buffing compound, so there's no reason to go over that. I'll probably end up scratching it, but I got most of the stuff. Now, if you really want to get it really fine, you have to turn it over and look at some of the scratches at the top, because if you start here, you're going to put all the pressure here, and you're going to end up missing this. But most people never play the top strings at here. They're playing lead, so they're playing this. So it really doesn't matter that much. It'll still be very polished and very beautiful. But that's what it looks like after the fret erasers and the leveling. So we can see that anywhere we choose to look at, like right here, it's dead straight, no rocking. So this is going to be a absolutely butter fretboard. And the way you want to do that, make sure that, you know, if you are going to do it, get yourself a very good quality, what the hell is it? Right here, very good quality straight edge, and make sure that when you do that, you don't have a bow in the neck, because if you start this procedure when you have a bow in the neck and it's not dead straight like that, you're gonna have a lot of issues later on. So anyways, meow. So here's a little bit before and after. This is the steel wool and all of the fret erasers. Just cleaned up everything on here, took care of any nasty scratches that were on there. But as you can see, there's still going to be some little tiny, you know, scrapey things. Now this would be totally fine. This would, I would say this is like factory quality, but you know, it just depends on how good the factory is. But these are well done frets. They're actually they're not sharp. There's no sharp ends and stuff like that. So, but we're gonna go ahead and polish out stuff like this. You feel like I put a fingernail on that. It doesn't really stop it, so it wouldn't hurt a string, but that will get polished out. So anyways, we're gonna use the Dremel with this white compound I got from Harbor Freight, and we're just gonna go up and down it. It takes about, I don't know, 20-30 minutes to do the whole fretboard, and it'll look like glass. That's it. It is a mirror now, so it's a perfect fret. See, this is what it looks like before. Quite cloudy, scratched. This thing is pretty much glass. Very, very, very smooth. And the nice thing is there's tons of fret life left on this. So, you know, as I feel this, it's just, I mean, it does feel like glass. I mean, it's totally, totally smooth. So it just takes a few passes. I put this at about 20,000 RPMs and just go over it a couple times, and you'll see it turn colors pretty quick. But easy procedure to do. Go all the way up and down this. And then we just clean it with some naphtha, which is this guy right here. But we're just gonna clean off the fretboard and get all the junk off of that, oil it, and then get the residue from the oil off the fretboard, and then this should be pretty good to go. Very happy. Bubber boy. Bubber boy. He's a bubber boy. He's a bubber boy. He's a bubber boy. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's a bubber boy. Yes, he is. Look at that face. Look at that face. Oh, yeah. He's that face. He's that face. All finished. Well, I'd like to say I'm done with this one. Fretwork turned out absolutely stellar. It is really, really low action. Plays excellent. Body is very, 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 very pretty. Just used a simple little product. This stuff right here, which I got from my car, but ended up using it on the guitar finish, and it worked out really good. I didn't have to use any kind of wheel or anything like that. Just applied it by hand and made it smooth as glass. Really did a good job. You see how clear that reflection of the light is. But unfortunately, something's going on with this pickup, and I think this pickup is dead. I found it in my spare. I think it came out of an old Yamaha, but I think it was a bad pickup. So I'm going to have to take the whole thing off and reset it and do it all over again, but not a big deal. Just pull that thing out and throw a new one in there. Plus it wasn't wired exactly the way I wanted it, so I'll just have to put another pickup back in there. Well, that'll be a tomorrow project. All right, so we got everything working. Switch is perfect. I actually wired this the other way, so it actually was working. It was disconnected for some reason. This was a coil split for this. I actually swapped this out. One of the pickups was bad. I think I took it out, forgot about it like 3 years ago when I was restoring the Yamahas. But I took it out of that guitar and I just never marked it. So I did mark it. Not gonna throw it away because I can have it rewound if I really wanted to, for probably like 30 bucks. So it's not necessarily worth throwing it away. Anyways, so this one right here is a DP161, which is either an Air Norden or a Steve Special, but it is a great sounding pickup, and it was just sitting there in my collection. But it works for this guitar perfectly. It's F-spaced. Also, I think it was a Super Distortion was in there before, and it was not F-spaced. It was a little bit too tight as far as the grouping. But you can see these are a little offset, and it's kind of squirrely. You can see it's missing a couple of screws. I'm not even going to bother putting them back in there because it's perfectly stable. And it's quirky, and it's fine. Anyways, so what I'm going to show you real quick is basically how I set intonation on guitars. Now, I used to, use tuners and go all fancy with it, but realistically, if you can tune a guitar with your ears like this, and then do that, and know that that is out of tune, and know that is in tune, then you can set intonation. So all I do is very basic. You use the 17th fret, the 19th fret, and the 12th fret, and the open. And so what we're gonna do is it does not matter relative to the other strings right now what this pitch is. Okay, so all we're gonna do is very simply play the 12th fret, and just listen. That's just me, the harmonic on the 12th fret. And you just kind of let that sink into your ears. Then you push it down. You should immediately be able to tell that that's a much higher pitch, which means if it's a higher pitch, and we can even see just because I didn't even tighten these screws, you can see how far this saddle is forward. And sometimes that's why your guitar goes out of whack, because that screw is not tight enough and the saddle goes bloop and it pops forward and you don't even notice. You hear it in a pop during a gig or when you're performing, but if you don't really know what you're doing with your setups, which is why I always tell people, I said, forget learning the guitar, to its extreme. If you don't know how to set your instrument up, if you don't know how to do intonation, if you don't know how to do a neck setup or adjust your pickups or clean your potentiometers, why would you let somebody else do that? It's crazy. The analogy I use is somebody says, wow, you do your own brakes? I don't trust that. It's like, well, wait a minute. Brakes are the things that save your life, and you're going to trust somebody at some place you've never met and never shook their hand to do something that would potentially kill you? Yeah, I'd rather learn how to do my own brakes. So this is the same thing. You need to know how to set up your guitar, especially so you can adjust it on the fly. And that's it. Anyways, so I'm going to pause it here and then show you the general idea of the setup. Okay, so quick and dirty way to set your intonation. Doesn't matter what the pitch is. You just need to basically listen to the pitch on on the 12th fret harmonic, push it down on the 12th fret, and compare your ears. Now I like to do it back to back. And you can tell if your ears are good enough to tell that that is slightly higher. Just like if you were to do this, you can definitely hear the increase in pitch when I bend the string, so you should be able to hear when I do the harmonic. It's definitely high pitched. So what we got to do, since the string is just like on a piano, the shorter it is, the higher pitch it's going to be. So basically that means the saddle is too short because the fretted note, okay, because the natural fret is just the length of the string, okay? It doesn't care where frets are, it's just a harmonic, all right? But if you move this backwards, it's going to lengthen the string from the 12th fret. It's not going to lengthen the string when you push it, obviously on the 12th fret. It doesn't care where the first fret is because this is the shortest point in the string. So we need to make sure this point is exactly the same point from where the harmonic is to the nut, from this point to right here. Okay, so that's where it's got to be in the natural place. So what we're going to do is just raw it. Just take the string down. Make sure it's loose enough, okay? It's got a lot of flex in it. And then what we're gonna do is just come in here, and we're gonna guess. Now it's pretty far off for me, so I'm going to really kind of push this thing back quite a bit. When it's really subtle, then you move it very subtle. But when it's a pretty obvious difference, then you wanna push that very, very little bit. So now we're just going to listen to it again. It's a little, I can hear it's a little too high. So I'm going to bring it back just a little bit more. And this gets down to where you get good enough to fine tune your instrument, but it's not that difficult. And we're talking about just a little bit, a couple millimeters. And that should. Okay, check it again. That, to me, sounds pretty good. So I'm just going to play these two strings together. And then I'm going to play where they would normally be, like on here, just to tune them. And then take it here. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna say this thing is done. Finally got all the quirks and features worked out of it. I think it turned out absolutely gorgeous, and it is definitely a guitar worth restoring. Now I've got this going through my little Yamaha THR-10X, kind of on a low gain setting, and a pedal that I built, which I don't even know what it's called, but it's a compressor. But anyways, we're just gonna go through just some of the kind of sounds. Again, this is the full bridge pickup. Outer coil, by the way, not the inner coil. Alright, and we're going to go split with the middle pickup. Really good. middle. Surprisingly fat for just a middle pickup. We're going to go ahead and do the middle pickups, or the neck in the middle. Now just the neck pickup. Little fades. And some distortion with the full pickup. See how much gain is reduced just by throwing it into that position. These are not high output pickups, but that's why I like them. That's why I kept them. Put the compressor on here. Probably gonna be way too much. Anyways, it's a rad friggin' guitar. I love it. I'm so happy that I redid the frets and it just plays like a friggin' dream.